Hey, so there's a moment I remember pretty clearly. I was a medical student, scrubbed into a case. You remember those days? I was doing a lap chole or a lap cholecystectomy. The surgeon asked me what I wanted to go into in the future. And I said, surgery seemed like a lot of fun. I remember he looked at me and he said, once you do enough of these, it's just a job. It's not as fun as you think. Not thinking too much about it at the time, but later as an attending, I found myself hearing versions of that same thing from colleagues. They still cared about their patients, still showed up and worked hard, but somewhere along the way, the energy had changed. Something had quietly gone flat. And it took me a while to understand what I was actually seeing. Around years 7 to 10, a lot of doctors hit something I started calling the wall. Now, if you felt that, or you're feeling it right now, I want to talk about something nobody really prepares you for. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Passive Income MD podcast, where we talk about creating your ideal life through multiple streams of income. If you enjoy hearing about this stuff, make sure to hit subscribe. Now let's get on with the show.
Okay, so think back to college, medical school residency, however far back that was, even your early years as an attending. Again, it was a tough journey, but it seemed like every single week you were learning something new, taking on a new skill, new cases, new ideas, new complications. And there was always this next milestone ahead of you to hit, whether that was step 1, step 2, match day, boards, your chief year, your first attending job, becoming a partner. And that ladder was always right there in front of you. That constant forward motion, it did something to your brain. And obviously there's some neuroscience behind this that's worth understanding here. Like when we learn something new, when we take on a genuine challenge, our brains form new neural connections, right? New pathways. I mean, dopamine gets released. It's not something that's just metaphorical. It's biological, it's physiological. Your brain rewards growth. We're wired for that. We're wired to seek novelty and challenge. So for those first years after training, your brain is still getting that stimulation. It's getting exactly what it needs. And then somewhere around year 7 to 10, that curve flattens. Like you've mastered the clinical work, you're established in your practice. That's a good thing. But your brain doesn't stop needing what it needed before. That stimulation, that stimulus is gone. The milestones are gone. Nobody warned you about that because nobody really talks about it. You're not failing at the time. You're not broken. In some ways, you're just understimulated. And there's even a name for it, the 7-year itch. You ever heard about that? It's the idea that humans need or they want or they hit that inflection point every 7 to 10 years where the old structure, maybe it stops working and something needs to shift. It happens in careers, it happens in relationships. And the answer in both of these cases, it's not to quit. It's to innovate. And something my father used to say, it's good to reinvent yourself every 10 years. And I thought that was just something that maybe fathers say. Now I understand what he meant by that. He wasn't saying that you want to throw everything away. He was saying that your life, your brain, your heart, it needs a new chapter every once in a while, or you start to lose that feeling of excitement, of feeling alive. I want to tell you about something that we've been building that I think is extremely valuable. Now, if you're a physician who's been wondering whether there's a better way to practice, one that gives you more autonomy, more flexibility, and less of the administrative grind, this is for you. The Leverage and Grow Summit, Spring Edition, is back, and our 2026 theme is Modern Practice Models. We designed this event around one question: what does medicine look like when you build the structure? Concierge, DPC, cash-based, telehealth, these aren't fringe ideas anymore. They're working models built by real physicians who got tired of the treadmill and decided to do something different. We're bringing in 6 doctors who have actually made the transition. Not people with theories, not consultants, physicians who actually did it. The format is intentionally interactive. One-on-one interviews, live Q&As, and on the final night, a panel where these physicians talk openly about what worked, what didn't, and what they do differently. 3 nights, March 17th through the 19th, 2026, 2 hours each night. You're going to want to be there live. You'll leave with a clear-eyed view of the models that are working right now and what it would actually take to explore one for yourself. And it's completely free. No travel, no hotel, just focused, high-quality conversations. So register today to secure your spot and watch your inbox for the full speaker lineup. Now, if you've been asking yourself, what if? This is where you start finding real answers. So what do most physicians do when they hit the wall? Like in my experience, there are a couple of patterns, and I think neither of these actually work. The first is resignation. You just accept that this is how it is now. You worked hard to get here. The income is good. And so you think you shouldn't complain. So you put your head down and you keep working. I mean, maybe even you work harder. That's the way we've always done it. That surgeon that I mentioned at the beginning, that's where he was, just grinding through it. The second is the fantasy response. You spend all this mental energy imagining what life would look like differently, imagining quitting, leaving medicine entirely, maybe starting over somewhere else. But there's no real plan. There's more like a mental escape. And the problem with that is that it drains energy from the present without actually moving you anywhere. Both of these ways, they treat the wall as like a career problem, but it's not. The truth is, it's a growth problem. The wall showed up because your brain stopped getting what it needs. And again, the answer isn't to necessarily just push through or check out. I mean, the answer is to expand those areas of your life. Now, the physicians that I've seen break through that wall are the ones who figured out how to innovate. They learn new skills, both in and out of medicine. They supplement their identity. They expand their identity. They start investing maybe, or they start a side project, or they discover a new way to practice medicine. I mean, I've seen docs do this through real estate investments, through starting different businesses, becoming hardcore investors. I've seen docs start telemedicine practice, start concierge or DPC. They just give their brains something new to work on. Here's what I want to push back on directly. I don't know if you've experienced this, but there's like this unspoken belief in medicine that if you do anything outside of, let's say, pure clinical work or the way you've always followed on the path, that maybe you somehow wasted your training. Maybe you work less, or maybe you stop practicing. And have you ever heard that? Or that feeling of guilt where somebody says, oh, you wasted all that time and energy. Like you spent all those years becoming a doctor and now you're recording podcasts on real estate, things like that. Well, let me tell you, the skills that you built over a decade in medicine or decades in medicine, they're real. The clinical judgment, the ability to make high stakes decisions under pressure, the discipline, the ambition, the problem solving. By the way, those don't disappear when you stop outside the hospital. Like they start to compound over time. And every new thing that you try as a physician is honestly built on the last one. The training didn't stop mattering in your life. It became the foundation for something bigger. Again, that's why so many physicians start something new. They start investing. They build a practice on their own terms, or they create something meaningful and cool outside of medicine. And so maybe you've seen these people, they light up, not because they've escaped medicine, but because they've expanded beyond it. Again, my father said, reinvent yourself every 10 years. I don't think he meant abandon what you know. I think he meant don't let the structure that you built in your 20s and 30s become a cage in your 40s. I mean, we're human. We love that certainty, that security, but we all need a dose of novelty and adventure too, especially in our careers. So the wall, it's not the end of something. I think it's a signal. It's your brain saying, I'm ready for more of this. So the question is, whether you're going to answer it. What are you going to do about it? And so I wanted to let you know, if you're sitting somewhere in that 7 to 10 year window right now, or if any of this has landed for you today, you're not alone. And you're definitely not stuck. You just need a new challenge, maybe a new peer group, a new identity layered on top, built on top of everything that you've already created. I also wanted to let you know there's a movement of people doing this already. They're in our communities. You just have to look to connect with them. By the way, this is actually what we designed when we brought together something called the Leverage and Growth Summit. Many of you have been part of it. We've had tens of thousands of physicians over the past 5-6 years be a part of it. It's happening this year in 2026, March 17th through 19th. It's free, it's virtual. It's built specifically for physicians who are ready to start building something outside of the traditional path. Especially in medicine, they are looking at different practice models. Again, not to leave medicine, not to quit, but to expand. By the way, if that interests you, you can go to leverageandgrowth.com, or the link is also in the show notes. Come check it out. And as always, I appreciate you taking the time to invest in your education and connecting with others. Thank you for spending this time with me. I appreciate you. Until next time, let's talk again soon. Thanks, everyone.
Enjoy the show? Let me know by dropping a review in the podcast app you're listening to us in. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit subscribe. Join thousands of physicians who are also on this journey to creating their ideal lives through multiple streams of income. Learn more at our website, passiveincomemd.com. Thanks again for allowing me to be a part of your journey. See you next time.